Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Panel Presents Comic Talk. Today, we're going to catch up with what our guests are doing to pass the time in quarantine land. We'll talk about our first comics that we started watching religiously and our top picks for our favorite indie or small press titles. It's all coming up next on Comic Talk. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Comic Talk, where we get together with a panel of guests to talk about our favorite print medium. With us today are the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day, Ashton Greenwood.
Hey guys, what's up?
We have consumer marketing guru for Previews World, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm gonna do hand gestures just like Ashton.
I never know what to do with my hands.
And our special guest today is the writer and co-creator of Robots vs. Princesses from Dynamite Entertainment. Welcome, Todd Matthy.
Hello!
How's everyone doing?
Cool. Doing all right?
Doing all right?
I think it's probably
nice
hard to tell at
for
this point.
Run.
Yeah, it's starting.
Right.
What week are we on anyways?
I don't even know. I couldn't tell you.
Week 7 by my count because of distance learning.
Okay.
Someone's keeping track. Good. All right, so Todd, this comic started as a Kickstarter back in 2017, but before that launched, how did you and artist Nick Chapua come up with the concept for Robots vs. Princesses?
I came up with it actually when I was teaching in a first grade classroom in Columbus Elementary School. What happened was it was the end of the year, and the teacher was kind of just winding things down. And she had 2 things for the kids, when they finished their work. She had coloring pages, which was princesses for the girls, robots for the guys, and for the boys. And I saw that, and it hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Because then the question started coming in your head. Well, if this is going to happen, who are the robots? Who are the princesses? Who are why are they fighting? What's going on, what's keeping them apart, blah, 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 all those different things. So you start answering those questions and you start building the world. And next thing you know, I had a story.
Nice. And for those of us that may not, or those out there who may not be familiar with it, tell us about the premise of Robots vs. Princesses.
Well, basically it all starts when we have a young princess named Zara, who is very much kind of would much rather be playing in the mud than having high tea. And she goes out to find a dragon for her animal recital, where the princess sing and the animals do all the nice animal tricks. Then she would have on the other end in this kingdom called Chromia, where the robots live. There's a war between the Decimators and the Centurions. And a decimator named Wheeler decides he's going to defect. So he goes out, so he leaves. They meet in the middle of this area called the Forbidden Woods. Robots call it the Beyond. And what happens is Zara sings a song. Wheeler gets turned into a robot dragon. They meet. Everything starts off fun until let's just say they were being watched, and Tyrannus decides he's going to go destroy Harmonia. So, because he fears the princess's song, do something.
Oh, I like that. And I like that you got that out of like a kid's classroom. That's amazing.
That's actually amazing, yeah.
That's really cool
Right?
to know. Robots vs. Princesses is available now in trade paperback, which collects the first 4 issues of the series. So everyone be sure to go check that out. And speaking of which, let's check out what our guests are reading or drawing or writing or watching, creating. It's time for What Are You Doing? All right, so we want to ask each of our guests, what are you doing? We want to know, what are you doing to pass the time in quarantine land? And to those of you watching, let us know in the comments what you're doing by using hashtag what are you doing. So let's start off with you, Ashton.
Okay. So I had been sitting on like a handful of Riverdale episodes that I needed to watch because I had somehow fallen behind. And it seems very out of character. So I've been watching those. Right. So I've been watching those, and it was actually really cool because they kind of started to pull in some other things from the Archie universe. So for like the last 4, so there's only 4 seasons. So really since the first season, they haven't acknowledged at all that there's like this alleged love triangle between Betty and Archie and Veronica, like there would be in the comics. So they finally like bothered to circle back around to that. So there's some of that weird like Betty Archie tension and Archie being a goofball and kind of a dum-dum. And they also they did like a full talent show, variety show episode in which Archie smooshes all of his friends together into a band named the Archies. So I appreciated that nod to the comic books.
What an egomaniac.
Right. You know what? And when he tells like Betty and Veronica and Jughead that he's named it the Archies, Jughead is like, what was the me's already taken?
That's a good one. Nice. What about you, Todd? What have you been up to?
Like I said, I've been catching up on some reading that I've wanted to do, catching up on shows. I've been watching, I've watched a lot of stuff in that new Retro Crush app for anime. So I checked out like Bubblegum Crisis and
nice.
Galaxy Express 39 because I hadn't seen them. And on Netflix, I've been I binged Narcos Mexico both seasons. Tiger King, yeah.
Yes.
That's a favorite of the show.
Yeah, Waco.
Oh, nice.
And actually now I'm doing The Wire because everybody. I always I've been hearing about that show for years, so I'm on like the 3rd season now for that.
Okay.
And I have been creating. I've just been typing up projects, trying to come up with things. Even drew a map for an upcoming project of a galaxy.
Okay.
I hope will get picked up. So time to write and come up with it.
This is the perfect time to get creative when you're kind of stuck inside with nothing else to do, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Troy? What have you been up to?
So actually, in the creative sphere, right? Like I ended up finally watching Extraction, like the Chris Hemsworth movie. That apparently I found out after the fact the Russo brothers had been attached to. So it's like, it's not just the guys who, I know you love Community, right, Mia? Mm-hmm. It's not just the guys who make Community, but also, of course, the guys who made the last 3 Avengers films. So yeah, that was actually pretty cool. And it actually prompted me to come up with an article that I'm actively writing and I'm going to finish tonight for previewsworld.com, which is, I think currently it's at 9 comic book movies, 9 movies that you didn't know were based on comic books, because it turns out that Extraction is based on an Army Press book. So I started compiling a list, and there's hopefully there'll be some surprises for people on there. Like I tried not to go for the obvious thing, and maybe a few forgotten gems that like kind of predated this current comic book movie wave. Like Wanted's on there. I'll just give that away. But yeah, it was prompted by seeing Extraction, and then there was a press release that went out around the same time for Old Guard starring Charlize Theron that kind of also influenced this article. So yeah, hopefully that'll drop this weekend. So definitely keep an eye out on this on previewsworld.com.
Nice. That's awesome. Everyone's catching up on some classics. I see.
Yeah.
Some good stuff. Let's see. What do we got in the comments on what are we doing? See, Kevin, I love Free Comic Book Day. Yay!
Me too.
We're all waiting for that to come back.
Yep.
Kogafi Studio, good vibes.
Okay.
Sticksboy73, comics and toy sales. Hey, it's comic talk time. It is. We're talking some comics. Robert, I miss going to my local comic shop. So do I.
Yeah.
James.
But starting on Wednesday, there'll be new comics, so maybe you can go back to your store.
Finally.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing that you miss out when the stores aren't open is the conversations. Like, yes, you can get your comics, but I mean, one of the best parts about going to a store is you get to have that actual like one-on-one time to chat with other fans.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is the only time I get out.
No, I mean it's great, and you know it's where you can rant and get out your frustrations. You want to.
Yeah, for real.
I have to point out that's what we're trying to provide here. So there you go.
Exactly. James said this is like Digimon meets Transformers meets Disney.
Okay.
I like that. That's pretty cool.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
And then Sticksboy73 said, I've been cataloging books. Yeah, I started back.
That sounds like a project.
Yeah. I got so much stuff in storage.
Yeah, I like everything looks neat behind me right now, but like there's literally like 3 separate piles of comics just randomly thrown on top of each other, sitting off camera. So, yeah.
This isn't my real apartment background.
Oh no! Right, it's a Zoom background, right?
Oh, yeah, Zoom.
I think that's part of the reason why Zoom backgrounds were invented is to just hide the stuff that you've got going on in the back of your.
Hide the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, let's now move on to our next segment. Firsts.
You always remember your first.
I'm never not going to comment on that.
He doesn't care. It happens. I giggle the whole time it's going on in the background. So anyone who knows comics knows that fans really love their first issues and first appearances. So for first, we want to talk about some of the momentous comic book firsts that happened in our lives. So for this episode, we want to ask, what was the first comic book that you started reading religiously? Like the comic that sucked you in and kept you coming back. You had to get the next issue. And for those of you watching, let us know in the comments what your first was by using #first. So Todd, let's start with you.
All right. I guess really my first, I guess I'd have to start it off with the first storyline really that had me going was actually Superman. And it was Superman in Exile. I remember my dad getting me like that every single week it came out back in like '88 when I was in like pre-K, and that was like my first introduction. But my real and then I went on to I started following things sporadically, and then Death of Superman came out and just went from there along with the X-Men show. I'll give you another first series that I felt I had to complete was the Marvel G.I. Joe run. I went around and hunted that thing down in back issues, and I got a complete set of that and the Transformers.
Nice. How hard was that to track down?
That's awesome.
It varied. You'd be surprised that like a lot of the 80s back issues were more readily available than the later years with the 90s.
Yeah, that seems like kind of the thing, right? Like I've noticed that too. It's easier to hunt down stuff, which is weird because we have all these digital options too to find things, but
no, this was going through back issue bins, hoping to just find one issue that. So, I
feel like that's the most satisfying way to do it. I don't know. There's something about like when you go digging through it and you physically find it, and you're like,
like, that's literally the noise I make.
Well, what about you, Troy? What is your first series that got you hooked? You just had to get the next comic.
So I had one queued up, and then Todd reminded me of something, maybe inadvertently, but like back in the day, Costco used to be called something else, and I say that because like I'm not sure if like the company was taken over by somebody or whatever it was, but I know the local Costco used to be called something, and I can't remember what it was. I used to go there with my mom all the time, and she would stock up on like a ton of mustard and.
Oh, hold on. I think we.
Guys.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, we lost somebody?
There we go. We got him back.
Okay, sorry. But yeah, like, Costco.
And he's gone again.
Man, they are just not liking his Costco story.
Yeah. Sorry, Costco's trying to edit me. But regardless, no, like, regardless, like Costco, because it's Costco, sold things in huge volumes, and what they would used to do was they would take a bunch of comics and basically shrink wrap them and sell them.
No.
Troy.
All right, let's move to Ashton really fast, and then that way figure out do you need new batteries maybe, or
I don't know. Hold on, I'm gonna try something. You guys do your thing.
All right, while he's doing that, Ashton, what is your first?
So mine is unsurprisingly Archie. Johnny called me out on it ahead of time, but whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna talk about it anyway. I had gone to so hold on, let me clarify this. It's the relaunched Archie universe under Mark Waid was the first one that I was like obsessed with. I'd gone to Collector's Corner in Parkville, and I'd gotten like, I want to say the first 2 or 3 single issues and read through them like lightning speed, and I was like, this is not enough. Like, this is not going to work out. So then I spent like north of $50 buying all of the trades that were available at once, which I think was like 6 trades at that point because I had like found it so late, and ripped through them. I've since reread them during quarantine, which has been great. And I've said this on here before on Previews World. I love it because I feel like Mark Waid does a great job of capturing those kinds of like angsty teen interactions and things that are like insignificant but matter to you. And I really like the way he wrote them. So I still am obsessed.
Nice. Good pick. How are we looking, Troy? We got you back? No. No. Right. Oh no. Okay, well I will fill in. So my first one is kind of really dumb. I was really addicted to the Ren and Stimpy cartoon, like the cartoon comics, when I was a little kid, and I remember getting the first issue and I read it and I just had to get all of them. I don't know why that was the first one I had to like continue to get. And I rebought them recently, and I noticed a joke on the front cover of the first issue that I didn't really get as a kid, and it's literally Ren yelling at Stimpy, going, "Oh my God, you opened the bag! Now this comic is worthless." and I kind of remember that joke as a kid, and I didn't fully get it. And now as an adult, I'm like, "Oh man, how much was this worth?"
And it came with the air. Yeah, you scratch Stimpy's.
Yes. As a kid, that gimmick completely got me, and I never got it. I instantly like ripped it open, and I didn't get it. And now, like as an adult, I'm like, I can't believe I opened that. What was wrong with me?
Have those been reprinted?
No, I found like a copy. Like I had to go like on eBay or something like that, and I just randomly found one, and I was like, I'm gonna rebuy my childhood because that's been my thing.
Yeah.
All right, I think Troy is still having some issues, so we are going to move on to our next segment, Top Picks.
Nope, we have to read the comments first.
Oh, sorry about that. I completely forgot about that. So from Ilya, we have still repping Garfield. Love the fact that fat, orange, grumpy, lumpy cat. Hashtag first. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, good. Wayne, Strangers in Paradise. Hashtag first.
Ooh.
Roderick, same here. My first is Superman 2.
4.
William, Fantastic Four before the original Secret Wars. Brian, hashtag first. Justice League Detroit era and John Stewart Green Lantern era, both mid-'80s. That's where I got started.
Ooh.
A good one. Mitch, Preacher or Grendel first. Preacher. Oh, I love that one. So good.
Love it.
Isabella, I was a big Archie's fan. Got my son into comics, and he says Injustice series. See, there you go, Ashton. Someone else is a big Archie's fan.
Yay!
She feels vindicated.
Yeah.
Brian says Hulk and Gen 13.
Ooh, Gen 13.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
John Arnold has Daredevil as his first.
The other one, yeah.
Aaron Foster, Uncanny X-Men. Yes.
Okay.
Great one.
Yep.
Kevin Spawn.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Ooh, another Uncanny X-Men from
Yeah.
Kevin.
More X-Men.
X-Men, wow.
Kevin, X-Men was great.
What?
I mean, great now.
It is.
Yeah.
Ryan, G.I. Joe. There we go. Another
There we
G.I. Joe
go.
person.
Oh, by the way,
All
Ryan
right.
is actually my artist on my self-published book, Wicked Game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Now that we've heard from our
Oh,
audience.
Troy, we
now-
can hear you again.
Can we? Troy, do you want?
Things can I be heard?
Do you want to attempt your Costco story without getting knocked out by Costco?
I mean, I did the IT crowd thing. I basically unplugged my mic and plugged it back in.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, I'll keep it short. I'll keep it quick. Costco, before it was called Costco, and I can't remember what it was called, used to have these comic packs that they used to sell, which is something like I want to say about 30 issues in one pack. And so actually that's how I discovered the X-Men. And so yeah, I totally co-signed all the people on here who were like, yeah, Uncanny X-Men was their big dive, because I think it was the Muir Island saga at the tail end. And I remember reading it and kind of being like, this is weird. I don't like it. But eventually, shortly after that, X-Men #1 came out, and like I was all about it. I also would point out that I was a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan before the price guide, the Costco incident. And so Archie had a TMNT series that they ran that initially adapted the animated series, but then started doing their own like line of like, you know, their own separate story arcs. And so that was definitely like a series that I just collected religiously. Like I just picked it up all the time. And yes, of course, Archie. So.
Well, there we go. Yay, we made it through. Cool. Costco didn't fit us this time.
Yeah.
All right.
Costco.
And now let's move on to our last segment, Top Picks. All right, for this round of top picks, we want to ask you, what are your top indie or small press comics? You can let us know in the comments by using hashtag top picks. Let's start with Troy. What's your favorite top pick?
Favorite topic, man. You know what? I'm going to just do another shameless plug. I got to interview Jim Rugg for Previews World not too long back. And one of the books that was my first introduction to him, he actually hand sold me at the Small Press Expo years prior. Like I want to say almost maybe 10 years prior. It was a book called Aphrodisiac, which was his take on blaxploitation movies, which is pretty funny if you've ever seen Jim Rugg, because he doesn't look anything like a guy who would be into that. But he very much was, and I very much am too. And if you've ever seen Black Dynamite or any blaxploitation flicks in the past, like just has fun with like the concept and just does this really kind of silly, kind of very over the top take on what is a bygone era in 70s cinema. So like, yeah, Aphrodisiac, AFRO. So definitely a fun series.
I like it. Very nice. What about you, Ashton? What is your top indie or small press comic?
Okay, so I wanna hit two things here. One, I want to just like give a shout out to Aftershock because I really, really like their stuff. I think they're kind of underrated. I love Relay. Like I've talked about Relay when I want to say Preview World before. I loved this series. I thought it was brilliant. Really good look at like the importance of cultural differences and what we lose when we try to assimilate ourselves or be the same as others. And also Animosity from Aftershock is chef's kiss. Like I've gone down to Marguerite's stall in Arts Alley at San Diego just to like yell in her face about how much I loved it. I'm sure she thought I was a weirdo. But my big like my main pick, of course, is Undiscovered Country from Image. Like I feel like people are sick of me talking about it. It's becoming the new Archie. But so I won't like go on forever about it. But please, if you're looking for something new to read, Undiscovered Country is only 5 issues in. Get the issues or trade weight. It is incredible.
That's a good pick. Animosity. I like that one. That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about you, Todd? What is your top indie or small press comic picks?
Well, my top indie, I guess right now. I mean, I've been reading a lot of stuff in trade lately. Kanto by Drew Zucker is one of is definitely a pick over at IDW. And Criminal, always by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Really, anything that team does, I enjoy.
Those are good picks. Really good picks.
Yeah.
I'll throw one in there. Mine is Death Sentence. I talk about it a lot because no one really knows too much about it. But it's an amazing series. The basic premise is there is a disease, and it's an STD, so it's spread that way. But basically, it lays dormant in your system. But then when it activates, you have literally 6 months to live from that day. But you gain superhuman powers. So what do you do with 6 months to live, but you have superhuman powers? Do you become a hero? Do you become a bad guy? Like what motivates you at that point? So it's a really cool premise. I've never seen anything like that in another comic. So that's what I always kind of recommend on that one.
Wait, so what is that called? Because I totally want to try that.
Death Sentence.
Death Sentence. Okay.
Yeah,
sold
that's a
me.
good one. Let's see if we have any comments from the audience. I think we've got Ralph with Bone and Strangers in Paradise.
Nice.
Good choices.
That's good. Mitch, Less Than Hero. Not the same as Less Than Heroes. Ah.
I've never heard that one before.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to look that one up. All right. And that's all we've got for those. So we're kind of coming to a close of our show, but before we end, let's go around and do some plugs. So Troy, Ashton, Todd, is there anything that you want to plug? And where can people find you online? Let's start with Todd.
All right. Obviously, I want to plug Robots vs. Princesses. You can get it at any comic shop. Order it in previews. Dynamite Entertainment. You can find me online at my Twitter, which is at Todd C. Matthy, or on my Facebook author page, which is just Todd Matthy, or the Robots vs. Princesses Facebook page. And editors, if you want to get in touch with me, contact me at todd.matthy@gmail.com.
Definitely check out his comic. It's amazing. Guarantee you'll love it. What about you, Ashton?
Yeah, you can find me on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Free Comic Book Day. We're talking, hanging out there, just generally talking comics for the time being while we wait for Free Comic Book Day to be rescheduled, which, when it is, we'll announce it on those social media accounts and also on the website and our newsletter if you get that. So we will keep you guys up to date.
Perfect. I know we're all waiting. And Troy, is there anything that you want to plug, and where can people find you online?
Yeah, Ashton and I do a show every week called Previews World Weekly, and we also have special guests, and you can see the exact same backdrop every single time. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, pretty much everywhere. The handle is the same, TJA Comics. So definitely check that out. And also, because I feel bad because I skipped some people, I'm going to plug these other entities.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Nice. Well, that about does it for Comic Talk. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us. We'll be doing this every Friday at 4 p.m., so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you get notified when we go live. Also, tune in on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. for Previews World Game Night, where we get together and play some games, and you can join the audience and actually play along with us. And every Wednesday is Previews World Weekly, also at 4 p.m., and you can find all these shows by checking out previewsworld.com or Previews World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Until next time, remember, not all heroes wear capes, but right now there's a lot who have to wear masks. Stay safe. Thanks, guys.